My name is Tim Davis. I'm a multicultural artist working in the DC area. And the work that is going to Malawi is very colorful, very bright. The ambassador liked the colorful and bright work, but it's also very involved with stories. And so, for instance, one piece that is going to go is a piece about a story that my dad told me about waiting and kind of sitting and waiting and looking. These three individuals who are just waiting for the bus, and they're waiting in a patient mode for this bus to come, and this was down in Mississippi. And so I combined some photos with this and so forth. So, and then lots of colors kind of combinations. I think one of my goals for a long time is to spread the work as far and wide as I can. You know, I've shown a lot in Washington, New York, Atlanta, all the states and so forth. I've showed a couple of places overseas in the past, but you know, working with the embassy program and the vastness of it and how many people will see it is really very exciting to me. So I'm happy to be part of this, and you know, it's a good blessing for me. You know, I create in various ways, and writing a lot of times comes first. I have a sketchbook, and some sketches are just writing, so it's pages of that. And then, of course, the research, and then the photography that's combined together before I kind of work with the composition of what I kind of create. And then I move forward with my color combinations. Now I might use color pencil or whatever in my sketchbook to work with that, but most of it is really intuitive. And you'll see blue in my colors a lot for many reasons. First of all, a sign of hope. Because, you know, again, going back to what the blues is, it is very significant in the Black community, the identity of things, because blues was coming and stemmed from gospel, and color of blue, also the music of blue, the sound of blue, all those are heavy, are colors that we think about. And then I like bright colors. I like the family of the reds, the yellows, and the greens, the yellow greens and blue green. You know, I like to use all of those colors together to suggest hope and to suggest, you know, life. And the body of work is, again, kind of concentrated with many materials, and I've used, you know, collage. I've used different areas to suggest what I want to say. So it's a process of thinking it through, waiting on, you know, the work, but it's very intuitive. You're creating the work and not thinking about, oh, this is crooked or this is straight, although I have that as part of my work too. So I want to work with this intuitively. I want to work the line and the shape intuitively. So things with my spirit has to come to me in terms of what my subject matter is, in terms of what the color will be, the surface will be, and all those other things that are necessary for the work. Coming from Chicago, basically, this was the time of the equal rights amendments, the things that were happening and changing from integration to segregation, and segregation to integration, and problems that we were having and we were faced. And, you know, I'm part of growing up in a all-Black community, and then integration was set in, and we were bused to a white community to go to school. And that's not a bad thing, that's a good thing. However, that was a situation that stuck with me because we weren't accepted to go to these communities. You know, it's hard to go to a place where you're not wanted, you know? And we were the first challenge, we were the first group. It was out of the junior year in high school, going to another community to go to school to finish. So yeah, that's one that stuck with me, and that basically caused a lot of tension within both communities. But at the same time, there was also an opportunity because they had it was the best schools. They had 6 teachers in the art department alone. And so that was like, this is great. And then that's when I met the teachers who were like, you have talent, you should go into art. because I, quite frankly, lots of students my age, kids my age, basically didn't think about going into college. There's always been one of those questions: can art change lives? I believe it can. I believe it can spark some attention. I like to record history. I like to create work that really inspires others. And so I think as a duty and a responsibility for an artist to create what they see, what they feel, and not only that, but also a gift that can be given back to the community, given back to people who will see it. And so I consider myself an activist in many ways. I like to activate through my work and challenge the viewer in many different ways on experiences and life happenings.